Hello, everyone. Well, this is my first time here, and it's pretty impressive. On top of that, I'm talking just after Sebastian, the GOAT, and his wonderful talk, so I do my best. Okay, today I'll talk about Nuxt content version 3 that has been released in January. We can call it the new Nuxt content since there is a lot of improvement that have been done in this version. Quick summary about myself. I'm Baptiste Leproux. I'm working at Nuxt Labs for 4 years now. I'm contributing on open source modules in the Nuxt ecosystem. I'm also the product lead of Nuxt Studio, and I'm a prof-father of 2 beautiful children, and I love sports. You can follow me on the social networks under the Larbish username. Okay, let's start by the beginning. What is Nuxt content? Looks like a good start. So it's an open source module which is maintained by Ahad Birang from the Nuxt Labs teams and all the contributors also. Just a big up to Ahad, who is a really good friend and my dear colleague, and he's the magician under Nuxt content, so I'm just here to show you how great is his work. So Nuxt content is a Git-based CMS. So Git-based means that your data is located in your repository next to your application code. So in Nuxt content, we have a content folder at the root of your application where you locate all your content. As a file-based CMS, Nuxt content allow you to write with multiple file formats, so Markdown, YML, CSV, or JSON. You can fetch those files from wherever in your application, from components, from pages, and everything, the fetch can be done with a query builder you can use everywhere you want in your Nuxt application. One of the best features about Nuxt content is the MDC syntax. That stands for Markdown components. The idea is to integrate Vue components directly into your Markdown, so you can build sophisticated visuals with Markdown syntax. Let's dig a bit into this syntax. It can be considered as a superset of the classical Markdown syntax. So for example, you can provide some metadata with your front meta. Front meta is not a specific feature of the MDC syntax, but it's more a convention of Markdown-based CMS to provide metadata to your file. So for example, you can provide your layout, you can provide information about SEO, or whatever key pair value you would like to use in your file and fetch in your application. In Nuxt content, we are using YML syntax for this front meta. You can also integrate Vue components, so that's great because here we are using the page arrow Sebastian was using before for the demonstration of Nuxt UI. So you can see that I can directly integrate any components. This one is from the UI library, but you could create your own custom components and integrate it directly into the Markdown with this syntax. You can, of course, set the slots of your component. So you can set the title and description slots using the hash syntax. You can, of course, pass attributes, so classes, HTML IDs, and even set the property of the component using the syntax just here. So for example, the prop orientation can be set like this. Of course, you can nest as many components as you want. So if you want to use the links slot and integrate a button inside it, you can do it. Okay, now let's dive into the new features of Nuxt content. Because the MDC syntax was already there in V2, but there are lots of improvements with the V3, and I will enumerate and explain them. Okay, so the first one, previously Nuxt content was loading all the files located in this content folder at the runtime with any difference between them. Today, in version 3, the reading and parsing logic have been moved outside of Nuxt runtimes. So the module loads files from sources and stores those sources into tables before starting the server. Let's explain how it works. So we've introduced collections. In the V3, there is a new content config file you can find at the roots of your project, which is the content.config.ts file. and this is where you can set your collections. First thing you need to do is to name your collection. So in this example, I'm creating a blog collections, so it's just a collection with blog post in it. I need to set the type of my collection. There is two different types. The first one is page. It means there is the one-to-one relation between my Markdown file and the page on the website. And then there is the data type, which is more structured data to query wherever you want in your application, in components, pages, wherever you want. Of course, you have to specify the source of your collection. So all sources are located into the content folder. So here, for example, I'm saying that I'm loading all the Markdown file in the blog folder of the content folder. You can use any glob pattern you want to define the sources of your collection. And then you create the schema. The schema for a Markdown file, it's the front matter. So the front matter can be totally typed thanks to this schema. So for a blog post, I need a cover, I need a date, I need authors, and I can create this schema to define the blog collection. Finally, when your collection is ready, you can create your first file. So you can see that in the front matter, I have all the fields that I have defined in the schema, and then I have the core of my Markdown file. The next big improvement in Nuxt Content version 3 is the way we are storing files. So a key challenge with Nuxt Content v2 was the large bundle size that was required to store all those files. And in fact, they were all loaded in memory at runtime. And it was a big issue, mainly for serverless platform or when you were using edge rendering on Netlify, Nextstep, Vercel, whatever, we were facing some memory issues. So that's why we are now storing all those files into an SQL database. So the content collections are stored in two different tables. So this helps the module to have clearly better query performance. And in fact, based on the environment you are using, we are storing data in a different way. So in development, we are using an SQL database, which is great for development since it's lightweight. It does not require a standalone server, and it can be easily created with a simple dump file. However, in production, we support several relational databases, so you can adapt it to the server or the rendering mode you are using. So if you are using classical server-rendered application, you can still use an SQLite database. But if you want to deploy it on Cloudflare workers, you can use the D1 database from Cloudflare. Or if you want to deploy on Vercel, you can use Postgre database, whatever. You can use whatever database you like. And we did go further, and we bring SQLite database into browser for client-side navigation. So it means in client-side navigation, the module will load a WASM version of SQLite. And it means once you are navigating on the front side, the DB is loaded internally in the browser. So there is no more request done to the server, and it's pretty fast. So this new way of storing data is really improving the performance a lot. And yeah, that's a big improvement. And what is great about relational database is that they are optimized for querying data. Because before, we were using a custom query layer that was not so fast. It was fast, but not enough. And now that we are backed by SQL database, we are executing the query on an external service, which is dedicated to this. And yeah, it's a huge improvement in terms of performance. Let's focus on the query utils the version 3 allows you to use. All those query utils are built on top of the database you're using, of course. So the first one is the query collection. So it returns a query builder to search in a specific collection. So you can see, for example, I have a documentation screen here. So with the query collection, I can query into this docs collection and find the appropriate file. This is the main core of the page. Then I can use the query collection navigation. This util will generate a navigation tree, and I can use it to display a navigation on the side of the screen. Then there is the query collection item surroundings. With this util, you can get the previous and next item of the file you are currently displaying. And finally, there is the query collection search sections, which is an advanced tool to create search functionality, so just like the command menu for searching here. There is more info in the documentation, of course. Okay. Now that we've explored the new features of Nuxt content, let's build an app together using the power of the Nuxt ecosystem. And first, I need to be honest with you. I'm not brave enough to do live coding for my first talk. But I'm a strategic cheater, and I've prepared some slides with screenshot videos. It won't be as good as Sebastian, but I will keep things interactive. So we'll use Nuxt content to manage our content, of course. We'll use Nuxt UI, no secrets for you no more. We'll use the v3 of Nuxt UI, of course. We will use Nuxt app to deploy the app. And finally, we'll use Nuxt Studio to edit this app in production. OK, let's start by the core structure of my app. So I have just an app.vue. It's a really simple app, one page. You can see that I'm using several UI components. I won't go into details of each one. The app header is just an header using UI component 2, but you can see that I have a header, and then I have the core, the core of my application. So for the moment, I have just a string in my container, so it looks like this. It's OK. I have an header and the core of my application. And now the idea is to create my home markdown file and integrate it directly into this page. So the first thing I need to do is to create a collection for my home page. So I will name this collection home. Makes sense. It's a really simple collection. I have only one file in it. That's my home.markdown. It's a really simple application. So I could use a glob patterns to integrate lots of files, but I do really simple for this example. I can select the type. Since my markdown file is displayed on the home page, that's a page type. In fact, the page type is adding some extra fields in your front matter. So it's fields that are useful for website pages like SEO stuff, navigation stuff, information you would like to have in your front matter. So it's directly added for you in the schema. And I have a really simple schema. I just added an image in this schema. Now that it's ready, I can create my first version of my home page. So one more time, I'm using this page arrow. It's using a lot in all talks. So I've just title slot, description slot. And what I can do is from my app.vue, I can query this file. So I'm querying the home collection. And in my case, since it's a really simple app, I'm just fetching the first component. Since I have only one item in my collection, that makes sense to fetch the first. But the query collection is returning a complex query builder. And of course, you can filter, search, do whatever you want with it to fetch the appropriate file. Once I have the good file, I can use the content renderer, which is a component provided by Nuxt content, and in fact, it's just interpreting my markdown to display it on the page. So, great. I have this home hero page, which is displayed on my application. Let's keep going. So, let's integrate a custom component. One more time, I've done a really complex component, which is called sepia image. That's an image with a sepia filter. The name is well chosen. You have to locate this image in the component/content folder in order for this component to be globally available and to use it into your markdown. And it makes sense for the structure of your app because you know that this component is used into your content. So really simple component. I have a props, which is the source of my image, and just using a next image and the sepia filter to display my image. But I can use this component in my markdown now. So I'm using the front matter to set the path of my image. We are really mountains in the team, so one more mountains, the Pyrenees.webp file. And then at the bottom of the Markdown file, you can add this API image, and I'm just saying that the source will be the image of the front matter. Wonderful. I have now the beautiful image of the Pyrenees. I can keep going and create one last component, which is an FAQ component, so frequently asked question. The idea is this time to create a data type collection and fetch this collection directly from a component and not from a page. So I'm creating this FAQ collection, type data, the source, one more time, only two content files in my application. I have the source, it's only the FAQ.json file. And the schema is the schema of a FAQ. I have the title of my FAQ, subtitle, and an array of questions. Okay, wonderful. Once the collection is defined, I can create my corresponding file or my first file, FAQ.json, really simple. I have the title, subtitle, and an array of questions. Now I can create the FAQ component, still in the component/content folder. So first thing I need to do is to fetch this file. So I'm querying the collection FAQ, still getting the first item since I have only one item in my collection. And I've only highlighted important lines in the code because we don't care about, it's not the purpose of the talk to show the code of the components. You can create whatever components you want, integrate it with the style you want. The only important thing here is that I'm using the fields of my schema, so the FAQ.title, FAQ.subtitles, and I'm using the FAQ.questions into a U accordion, which is a component of Nuxt UI. Finally, when my component is ready, I can just add it at the bottom of my home.markdown page, and that should be enough to display it on my application. Wow, wonderful video. And that's it. So this is built with Markdown. This is only Markdown syntax. Now let's deploy this application. Even this, I made a video. Sorry, Sebastian. I hate this guy. But yeah, in one click with NuxtHub, you just need to install the NuxtHub core package and launch the deploy command, and that's it. You are deployed on the edge. And now that the website is deployed, we can edit it directly in production with Nuxt Studio. So let's quickly explain what is Nuxt Studio. It's a non-technical interface to edit your Nuxt content project in production. There is a Notion-like editor for Markdown pages, but I need to add that the front matter of your Markdown is also generated into a form, which is based on the schema you have provided in your content config. This is the same for YAML, JSON, and CSV files. We are generating form based on the schema you are providing on Nuxt content. And to enable this feature, it's really easy. In fact, previously, Nuxt Studio needed an independent module to work, but the Studio module has been updated to be more generic, and it's now part of the Nuxt content module as a preview API. So to enable the preview, you just need to set the Studio API as the preview API of the content module. Okay, now let's move to Studio itself to show you how it works. I hope. Okay, great. Yep. Okay, so here I'm directly connected, login into the Studio interface. I've created a VueJS team for the talk, and my project is already set up here. So I can enter my project. Oh, already on the content page. I won't go into details about all the features you have. The two important features are the content tab. This is where all my content files are located. So you can find my FAQ.json and the home.markdown file. And there is the media here, where I can find all medias located in my public repository. So I can see my mountains, and I can also, wait, nope. Doesn't want to display my finder. Okay, whatever. I wanted to drag and drop the image, but I will upload it from here. Cloud Mountains. so I can drag and drop, upload image from here. Wonderful. And then I can use them in my content. So here there is a preview button. So it means I can preview my website. Here you can see that it's my production website with preview layer on top of it that allows you to update your content and see the preview in live. So if I open my home.markdown file, I can see that I have the 3 components I've created and integrated in the Markdown. I can open the UPage arrow. I can see the slots available. I can directly update it. Hello Amsterdam. I can update the description, of course. So I can play with the slots of my components. I can also open the page setting, which is the front matter of my Markdown file. You see that there is lots of fields. This is the fields I told you about to when I create this page type in my collection. The page type is hiding those fields when you are creating the collection, so you can edit it in Studio, or you can even hide it if you want to hide it. But we can see that we have also the image I've added in my schema. So here, in the schema, I didn't show you, but I've set the image as a media in the editor, so Studio knows this and understands that this is an image, so you have access to your public library. And because we love Sebastian, we'll add a picture of him. He's good looking, that's true. But I prefer mountains, so let's put the cloudy mountains. And I can also, of course, so in fact the editor has been built, it has been influenced by Notion, so the idea was to be really close to Notion, so you have some features you can use. So for example, I can directly delete some of my components, I can play with it. I have a slash command, which is useful with Notion, where you have all the basics of Markdown. You can create code block, paragraph, really useful when you are writing some docs. But you can also look for your components. And here I have all the components that have been imported sorry, in my application. So I can put back my FAQ. Here, it does not make sense to have it there, so I can just drag and drop here at the bottom. And you see that the preview is displaying accordingly. Great. So one more thing, we can edit this FAQ component. Since the content of the FAQ is located in faq.json, we can open the file. Once again, this form is generated based on the schema we have built for this collection. So we have the title. We can directly edit this title, frequently asked question, and we can play with the questions. We can edit them. Can delete them, add a new one. We can say, was this talk great? I hope so. I did my best. And I don't know how to write it. And you can see that the preview is updating live. Once you are happy with your changes, you can just review. And you have access to all the modification. And here you understand what's going on under the hood when you are using this editor. So the form is directly updating the JSON file. The Markdown is directly updated also. So if you add new components, you will see it there. And of course, you have the image I've just added. There is 2 ways of connection on Studio. And there is GitHub connection and Google connection. So those technical lines are only displayed for technical guys, and we are not showing these scary red and green lights, green colors for the Google users. And when you are happy, you can just commit your changes and say, yeah, in fact, I said that I did not do a live coding, but thanks to Nuxt Studio, that's kind of a live coding. So I can say live coding from IMD, that's just for me. I'm happy. And you can publish your changes. And once the changes are published, it's all synchronized with GitHub. So you can just open your GitHub page, and you can see that the commit has been done on your repository. And I go back to, not this, I need to do this. Go back to the slides. Okay. Great. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening to me.